Hi, Willo Kelly again here, your flood insurance advisor, so to speak. Today I'd like to talk to you about the term taxpayer subsidized. This term is used a lot when it refers to flood insurance policyholders, the flood insurance program as a whole being a taxpayer subsidized program. I would like for the viewers and members of Congress especially to be aware that this is a wrong term. It should not be used. The flood insurance program is not taxpayer subsidized. I received several questions about this. There are those that are under the impression that somehow if you have a discounted called subsidized policy in the National Flood Insurance Program, taxpayer dollars were coming in and making up the difference of what you weren't paying to the full risk. That is completely wrong. It is not taxpayer subsidized. And let me just explain a little further why I feel this way. There are no taxpayer funds coming in to make up any difference in policyholder premiums. Actually, there is money borrowed from the U.S. Treasury to pay debt in the National Flood Insurance Program, and the debt is around $24 billion at this time. But let me just mention a few things that I've discovered in some of the reports from the Government Accountability Office, Congressional Research Services Office, etc., that refer to the interest that has been paid on the debt to the U.S. Treasury. So I would think that unlike the farmer subsidies, etc., that come in that are from taxpayer dollars, when you refer to a taxpayer subsidized program and the program has borrowed money from the U.S. Treasury and has paid interest on that debt, how can that be taxpayer subsidized? According to a February 2009 Government Accountability Office report, it states that while FEMA officials told us that interest payments are estimated to be lower in 2010, as of October 2008, NFIP owed interest payments of $730 million a year to the Treasury and has had to borrow more from the Treasury to make these payments. As a result, it's unlikely that NFIP will ever be able to repay the entire debt. So are we borrowing money from the U.S. Treasury to pay interest on the debt to the U.S. Treasury? That is what appears to be the case. Over the past decade, and this is referring to a report I saw from 2007, FEMA borrowed money from the U.S. Treasury and repaid the debt with interest. And then as recent as July of 2012, it appears unlikely that the $17.75 billion in debt that occurred at that time will be paid to U.S. Treasury, because as of September 30th, 2011, the annual interest payments were around $1 billion a year, and annual premium income was only $3.5 billion. Let's just put this in a nutshell. In the years from 1978 to 2012, there has been $6 billion more paid in premium than losses, including those paid through 2012 from Katrina and those that were paid through Sandy through 2012. $6 billion more paid in premium than losses. We seem to forget the expenses, the administrative expenses of this program, etc. And if we are paying interest on the debt and we are borrowing to pay interest, I think we should all be asking Congress, how much total interest has been paid on the debt to Katrina? Why has the interest not been forgiven like it has in numerous communities that were affected by Hurricane Katrina and other catastrophic events? Why are NFIP policyholders paying interest on a debt to a catastrophic loss and then having to borrow money to make those interest payments? So we all need to be clear when we use the term taxpayer subsidized program, really what we're talking about. I think the confusion lies with FEMA aid when FEMA steps in and comes into communities and gives out grants, low interest loans, etc. in the event after a catastrophe and a state of emergency. So FEMA aid is truly taxpayer subsidized. But when it comes to the National Flood Insurance Program, policyholders have been paying premiums to pay for coverage of a risk. And those policyholders have been paying interest on debt. They are not taxpayer subsidized.